Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. Well, I am really excited about today's show because my guest, she was on the show 7 years ago, almost same month, just a little earlier. So right at 7 years ago. And I am really looking forward to catching up with her, but more importantly, to really put a spotlight on the evolution of what she is doing. Today, my guest is Crystal Cave. She is the founder and creative director of Poppy Row, an ethical and eco-conscious clothing brand of size-inclusive modular wardrobe staples for the jet-setting changemaker woman. And as a former celebrity stylist turned fashion designer and style educator for women, Crystal's style advice has been seen by over 1 billion people worldwide in publications like InStyle, CBS, NBC, ABC, the New York Times, Huffington Post, Mind Body Green, Elle, the CW, and many, many more. With that, Crystal, welcome back to Influencers Radio.
Hi, thank you so much for having me back. I can't believe it's been 7 years.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. And first of all, I want to congratulate you because just today, just a few hours before we actually are kicking off this conversation, Poppy Row was named one of Self Magazine's 18 best leggings and shorts in 2022. Yeah. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting. Like the collaboration we did last year has a really special place in my heart. We did this reprise as one of my favorite leggings, sustainable leggings, and I'm good friends with the founder, Mary, and I'm so thrilled that our collaboration is getting this recognition from like the best health and wellness magazine in the world. And yeah, it was our stage shorts, which honestly, like I'm very partial to them myself, so I was glad those were the ones that got the honor. You know, they have my favorite pocket. I can go walk my dog with my phone in the little side pocket, and they're so comfortable. And so it's nice to get that recognition from all these testers. There were like, apparently, I think hundreds and hundreds of submissions, and they narrowed it down to just a few dozen. And it's so amazing to be among all these like large brands, and also to have it with one of my really good friends too, I think is an even better like cherry on top of this recognition pie right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, well, there's a lot of people talking about Poppy Row right now, and I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see like Lululemon. You're in there. Yeah, you're swimming with the.
Yeah, I think Banks is on there too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's amazing. It really is. So congratulations on that, and I think that leads me to talking about 7 years ago when you were on the show. You had just launched the Not So Skinny Style School, and you've come a long way since then. But even since then, you've been credited by so many women for some incredible transformations, and not just how they look, but about how they feel about themselves. And I think that's what's truly remarkable about what it is that you do. So I'd like to kind of ask you to pull back the curtain of Poppy Row, if you don't mind, and talk about what led you up to where it is today.
Yeah, well, and I think it really does go back to the Not So Skinny Style School that I had launched 7 years ago this month. And I know we were talking like, it's just so crazy that it's really been this long, but so much has happened and so many amazing things. So I've been so grateful for this journey. And when I was running Not So Skinny Style School, like I'd been doing celebrity styling. I had been on my own self-love journey. Now I'm also a trained life coach. So I'd merged that into what I was doing. And so for me, I knew it wasn't just about what you were putting on your body. It was like, if you don't feel well on the inside, you'll never feel good on what you put on the outside. And that's really what I feel like the school people came in for the style, but they started leaving with like obviously tangible clothing and getting clear on their style, but also just like these incredible transformations, which, you know, as someone who is running this is also really incredible to witness. And it was through running that I started to realize that I was running into the same problem with a lot of the women, because I was serving fully women in this school. And it was that a lot of women are kind of on this cusp between straight and plus size, which the fashion industry traditionally, like, I mean, depends on who you talk to, but generally it's recognized that like up to a size 12 would be considered straight size. And then a 14 and above is considered plus size. Now, the average American woman is a size 16, 18. And I think it's about like 67%, if I have the stat correct, are considered plus size. So really like the average woman is what has always been considered plus size. But what happens when you're shopping as a woman is if you're kind of on that cusp between straight and plus size, it's really hard and oftentimes confusing to find great pieces. And so myself as a stylist, when I was going out and being able to source things for different clients, whether they were my celebrity clients or personal styling clients, it was my job to find these pieces. And when it came to running the school, it was really interesting because I like actually didn't have good brands that I could send my clients to, especially all of these women that were really on this cusp, somewhere between probably like a 14 and an 18. And honestly, it really caused me an existential crisis. I was like, why am I doing this? And I mean, honestly, when I was 13, I had wanted to be a fashion designer. And, you know, I think a lot of women I've found out actually that's like their secret dream. And this was before Project Runway was the whole thing. But, you know, I started to think about that and I took the summer off from my business to create a clothing brand. I wanted to create a line of staples that women like my clients could purchase no matter their size and have this really great option. And I went to Italy, and it was there that not only did I have like an amazing personal experience and really learn about design, when I was in design school, I ended up, it was a really hot summer in Florence, I will say, and I was drinking a lot of water, so that meant I was going to the bathroom a lot. And the European bathrooms are not generous in size. So as someone who was like at the time dealing with a chronic pain condition and like then trying to like, you know, get undressed in a jumpsuit, it was creating a lot of issues like every day when I was in class. And one day I was like half naked in the small European bathroom, and I was like, why hasn't someone created one of these jumpsuits that like I don't have to get half naked in all the time? Because like not only is it just uncomfortable and you have to get undressed, but it was also sweaty, and then it made me sweatier because I'm like having to have a half aerobic workout trying to like get this thing off. And I'm like, but jumpsuits look so good. And so like, why can't we create something in a more functional way? And so, you know, I talked to a couple friends while I was there, and honestly, like I got out of the summer program and I didn't create anything for the line, to be honest, because it just gave me the fundamentals. So then I had to go about creating it. So came back to the U.S., moved to LA to start the line, and in the process of being in this incubator called Factory 45, I started to go back to that idea for this two-piece jumpsuit, and then started to look at all the pieces I wanted to create. And I realized that all the pieces kind of mixed and matched. And so I ended up finding out it's this thing called modular, which means all the pieces interchange and basically like mix and match. And so it started out with this idea of a two-piece jumpsuit, but we launched with 5 pieces. So you could create a jumpsuit and then also a dress. And so, you know, you could literally take our Fab 5 capsule on a weekend vacation and have all you need to be super comfortable and not actually have to travel with a lot and still like maintain your style, which is always important to me as well. So,
well, to me, that's brilliant. I can't. Yeah. I wish you get into the men's side of things because.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always think that, man, if I could just get a Garanimals line, you know, for myself, it would work out so well. But I mean, that's just such a brilliant idea because so often it's almost like there's a dichotomy between fashion and function. It's tough to get them both.
Yeah.
Together in there. And when you talk about that story of the bathroom, I think there's some rare footage of Houdini failing to escape a jumpsuit in a European bathroom. So I wouldn't feel bad about that.
At least I'm not alone. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the modular thing, and I think that's something that maybe you don't get enough credit for, because you've done some really amazing things, and I've seen. I mean, like I said, people are talking about Poppy Row, and I think the innovation is one of those big reasons that you're right there next to the Lululemons and the Spanx when people are talking about this stuff. Did you think that this was so revolutionary when you first came up with it, or was it something that well, this will be more convenient?
I mean, maybe both, if I'm being really honest. I mean, I think the most important thing is I knew I had customers for it because I talked to my customers. And I think that has always been my advantage as a designer now, is that I come from the aspect of a stylist. And so oftentimes the inspiration does come, actually all my inspiration seems to come in a bathroom somehow, even our bodysuit. It really was about function for us. I actually changed the snaps on the bodysuit so you're not having to give yourself, I always say, a borderline vaginal exam, because the snaps for women's bodysuits are always in the crotch area. And so I actually put them in the front. So a lot of the things that I think have started from this, two-piece jumpsuit, that idea of being more functional and working for the human, that it's actually on, has really been just an integral part of the whole brand since day one. So, I mean, I definitely knew that I had there were clients because I was talking to them. It's another thing for them to put their money where their mouth is. But they did when we did our Kickstarter, and we raised $32,000 in 30 days. So we were pretty highly successful apparel Kickstarter for sure. But yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that this kind of idea had been around for a while. And, as someone who is a chronic overpacker, I didn't even realize how much it was going to change my own life too, because I am now able to travel so much lighter. Instead of having 20 different pieces, I'm able to travel with a handful, a nice capsule of pieces that are also comfortable as they are functional at the end of the day.
Well, what I'd like to get into, I think, is more of that, the mental transformations and what you do for the self-confidence. So the things like that for the people that are just rabid fans of your design. Because I'd like to point out that your award that you just got for Self magazine was for best comfort bike shorts. And, you talked about those plus sizes, which I guess, really should translate into normal size, right? And
sure, right.
And there's a lot of talk and I think maybe, certainly misconceptions that skinny equals fit, not so skinny equals not fit. If you're not skinny, then that means you're neglecting your health, or you're not working out, or you're not active, and that's completely not true. Can you talk a little bit about that and that misconception and how that plays into when you're creating?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two things. First, obviously I will say I am not a doctor. I'm not a health professional, but I know that studies have come out that your size does not equate to health. And so that has continually been proven that this, at least the idea that I was brought up with, that if you were heavier, it meant you were automatically unhealthy, is untrue. We all have things that we deal with no matter our size. And so what I always, when we actually came out with the collaboration last year, we received an email saying we were glorifying obesity, actually, which I will tell you 7 years ago would have gutted me. And what was really amazing, one is my partner in the Reprise collab, Mary, like she is definitely a straight size woman. She's very active. I mean, obviously that's what brought her into creating a whole activewear brand. And she was like, don't worry, I've got this. But her and I have always had these types of conversations. So I knew essentially what she was going to say. And, you know, what I have always felt is that, like, well, if you want people to be healthy and like participating in movement classes and also for us to create a more inclusive world so people do feel welcome, they need access to things they can actually wear to those classes too at the end of the day, and to wear out in life. And who is a regular old Joe Schmo on the street there to say that someone isn't worthy of having athleisure or clothing or anything apparel-wise to fit them because of a certain size that they are. Like, you are not in someone else's experience and have not lived their life. Like, we know nothing really about someone else's lived experience except our own. And so for me, at the end of the day, as someone who's been anywhere from a women's size 10 to 22 in my life, I know that, like, I have been sometimes healthier at a size 18 than I've been at a 12. You don't really know what's going on with someone's health. But being able to have access to clothing that fit me was so much better for my mental health at the end of the day. And I hear this from a lot of people as well. And then something we're also trying to do is we've now introduced affirmation sizing, which instead of a number like we traditionally get, you actually get, like when you get your Poppy Row product, instead of a number, it's actually an affirmation. So if you're a size 16 and you order our size F, you get in your tag, it says, I am size fabulous. It was actually my aunt that had messaged me after we launched this and was like, you know, I was putting on, I actually think it might have been the Reprise collab. She had put on her leggings and she was like, you know, I was thinking, like, this is so amazing that you don't have sizes, because like the only number I should worry about every day maybe is the one in my bank account, if at all. And so I thought that was such an astute observation, because what I've tried to create from this brand from day one is a place that women of all sizes can truly feel comfortable, and like literally comfortable in our clothing too, because it is, I think, even Self Magazine had noted that it was like the most comfortable fabric. Mary and I use a very similar fabric, so there was some great like overlap with our collaboration there. And so like, not only is our fabric physically comfortable, it like works with your body, it's moisture wicking, it's friendly to the environment. So like, it has, for me, I wanted to create a brand that was so much more than just like the physical product. Like, it had meaning, and that it could bring pleasure and joy to a person's life as well. So if every day you're putting on a pair of our hangover pants or whatever it is, our stage short, and you can look in your, you know, waistband and see that you are not defined by your size, I think it's such a powerful thing.
You know, really, I have to commend you on your continuous commitment to this, because I remember, 7 years ago that we were talking about this same thing, and I want to make sure that we put a spotlight on this, because I don't want it to get lost. And in that, last time you talked about how your clothing, besides looking great, being functional and convenient, it really does provide women the ability to enjoy life right now as they are. Because last time you talked about how there's so many people that live in the future, like, oh well, I'm going to really get my wardrobe together after I lose another 20 pounds, right? And how a lot of times, sometimes that doesn't come as quickly as they think. So they keep waiting around for them to reach this unicorn weight that's supposed to be the perfect weight, rather than enjoying themselves right now. Is that kind of the how you turn that concept into what was it that you called the size? Size fantastic, right? Or fabulous, fabulous.
size, yes. So the affirmation sizing, like size fabulous. RA is I am size awesome. So all of the different affirmations have nothing to do with like physical characteristics. It's all about like that inner essence.
But to me, it's just a perfect example of how you've really evolved that concept into a tangible thing, because that's just truly amazing to me, because I just don't want people to lose sight of that this is just more than just a clothing line, that it really is a transformational concept for a lot of the women that, like I said, are just rabid fans of what you're doing. When you're creating this stuff and you're talking about wanting to be a designer, most people, when they think design, I just want to make some great looking clothes, but you certainly put some restrictions on yourself. One, the type of women that you had in mind when you're doing this, but also if we can get into that eco-conscious side of it, because now you're really putting some restrictions on it. And when I saw eucalyptus I'm thinking, wait a minute. That's really so it looks great and clears your nasal passages at the same time. How does that work?
Not quite that. Yeah. So eucalyptus, also known as tencel, is one of the most sustainable materials that you can get of new materials. Technically, the most sustainable material is nothing. There's no perfect fabric. So I definitely learned that through the process of creating this brand. For me, what I liked about the eucalyptus-based fabric we use is that the process is extremely eco-friendly. I think it's like 99.9% of all of the liquid and materials used in it are reused. So it's like obviously very sustainable and almost circular. It's a naturally regenerating material on its own. So unlike other products that might contribute more to deforestation, this is actually like one of the better options that you have out there. What's also amazing about this fabric is that tencel-based fabric is moisture wicking, it's temperature adapting, and it's also cool to the touch. So I don't know about you, but like I know for myself, especially when I was dealing with, I have recovered from having fibromyalgia in the last 7 years. So for 2 decades, I had this chronic pain condition, and I always felt like I was like having hot flashes, even like as a teenager and into my 20s. And so having fabric that actually worked with my body instead of almost against it has been really powerful as well. So for me, I really wanted a fabric that allowed me to like almost adopted to me, which is what this fabric is able to do. And it's also a jersey knit, so it's super comfortable and can work with your body with, whatever curves or whatnot that you have, because all of our human bodies are one of a kind. I think for me, we've now started integrating upcycled fabric, so fabric that would have otherwise ended up in the landfill. Like our Sweetheart bodysuit, we have a mesh portion on it, and so that is actually fabric that we saved from a landfill. So you get the great like eucalyptus base on your bodysuit, but then you also have this mesh fabric that's super comfortable and also is environmentally friendly by upcycling it and saving it from potential doom in a landfill. I have been very picky about the fabric. I had hundreds of swatches I was sourcing, and all our fabric is made in LA and we produce in LA. So everything is within basically a 15-mile radius that we're creating. So we have less of like a global environmental impact with what we're doing as well. So, I probably could be so much more stringent, but I have been pretty stringent on the eco-friendly thing. And I've learned like a lot of the things that I loved as a stylist and everything are not sustainable, like sequins or lace and leather. And really just like myself, I've been so educated on the environmental impact of what I was putting on my body. And what's been really amazing about this process is like I've now been able, like, we did upcycle sequins for like a limited release. Like, we did a stripe of sequins down the side of our hangover pants, which is like definitely our bestseller. It's the bottom part of the jumpsuit. And so kind of being able to add those like personal flair pieces, if you want to call them, or like the personal style element of it while also being sustainable has been like a really great and also fun way to explore, and expand this brand. So, yeah.
Well, your mind, I mean, just it must be the playground to come up with so much of this stuff. And I got to say, when we first talked about this 7 years ago, and this is just makes me, looking back in retrospect, what a pioneer you are in this field. Because I remember, 7 years ago, and even probably more recent than that, when you heard, plus sized. Generally, that means it's stretchy, right? But you've just taken that to such a new level of that. Now it amazes me that even I'm in Texas, if I walk through a mall or even a Target or anything, I'm all of a sudden seeing these clothes that are definitely more inclusive and definitely have more of that normal shape and size in mind. With you being so immersed in this, have you noticed how this has evolved and become much more prominent, and clothing manufacturers and designers have become much more conscious to serve this group of consumers?
I mean, for sure. And I think because of the internet, that has really helped accelerate all of this. So, I mean, like, there are people that are much more well-known than myself that are more like influencers in the space, have been talking about this for years. And, I think a lot of the bigger businesses who have accommodated to this finally saw the like business potential with it. So sometimes it's frustrating because oftentimes I don't feel like their attempts are genuine, and they do get a lot of feedback because the women they're serving can tell the difference between authenticity and not, I think, most times. And they won't give their feedback. But, it has been really amazing to witness this evolution. And I was messaging one of my friends who I had become friendly with early on in my entrepreneurial journey. And it was even before I had launched the style school. And we were like at this retreat in Napa. And I remember being like, one day I'll know I've made it when I'm in a major fashion magazine. And I have been in major fashion magazines now, even just like in Style last month. And I mean, like, obviously Self is more of a health and wellness magazine, but like these are major magazines. So to finally have this almost be, it's just like so normal now, is such a sigh of relief for me. And I'm like, okay, like, I feel like if I've been able to contribute in any way to this, I am so grateful. And I also think there's still so much to go with this, but to think back, 7 years ago when we were last talking about, some of the troubles I think a lot of, I think we would be calling them not so skinny women had at the time, but really like many women have, the average woman has, is shopping. And I think it's so much easier with the internet to have that now. I think with COVID, it has only accelerated women being more comfortable shopping online and being able to have that flexibility. I still would love to see more independent brands that have like a variety of styles in some of the major stores. But I also, as someone who grew up in retail and loves malls, I'm not finding myself in a mall so much these days, especially.
Yeah, that's true.
So, at least maybe access on the sites. And I mean, I know places like Macy's, they have where independent brands can come in and do their own pop-ups there. It's expensive. So like, I don't think most real independent brands, unless they have a lot of ad budget, can really afford that. So I'd love to see like more buyers coming out to brands like myself or other independent brands that maybe had even gone through Factory 45 with me, and being able to bring more of this inclusivity and sustainable options to these stores, and at least have it online so consumers can shop on these major retailers' websites. So, yeah.
Well, you talked about how, some of the bigger brands looked at the business right?
Yeah.
And recognize the business opportunities. And I know when you first started this and when you first got interested in fashion and design, it was from the mind and heart of an artist. How did you kind of make that transition, and how hard is it to reconcile that artistic side with the entrepreneurial side in making business decisions that may conflict with that mind of the artist?
Yeah. Well, I will say the struggle is real, but I did go to business school. So I think what I always have felt is that I'm able to approach this from more of a business side than many designers. So I'm able to kind of merge both sides of it for myself because that's just how my brain works. So I can see the creative solution, then I'm like, okay, business side of brain, how do we actually make this happen? And, I have to tell you, it is for sure not easy. My design and development team that I work with in LA, I'm often and pushing up against her being like, we need to bring this price point down. We need to do this faster, whatever, which probably annoys the hell out of her because she's my team is all about being sustainable and ethical, and sometimes faster and cheaper is not always equating to that. But I'm also very cognizant of price point. And so it's always a challenge for me because as someone who likes nice things and will spend my money, I also have to look at it from a consumer perspective. I can't always be explaining well, it actually takes this amount to actually create a t-shirt and blah, blah, blah. It's someone's going to see the price and be like, $100 for a t-shirt? No, thank you. Especially my grandmother, because she totally used to go through Bloomingdale's and buy I remember she bought a $400 t-shirt one time, and I was like, this is a t-shirt. It doesn't make sense. But I would say she's not the average consumer here, and nor my target market really. But it's an amazing human. But I think that type of thinking is very rare. Most people are looking at the pricing and weighing that cost for themselves. So. Yeah, it's definitely a balance trying to have the creative vision and then translating it to, should we say the real world? But I have to say that I think, I grew up in retail, and so my Poppy Row is named in honor of my grandfather, who was had a national retail chain, and he was such an amazing person. Definitely not as creative as I am, but I know I have part of his brain. And so I think growing up and, I call them the TPS reports because he would have me highlight reports at his desk growing up. I love that stuff. I love the analytical side of that. So I think it's come into such use for me that I'm not so stuck in the artistic side of things that I'm getting too far away from reality, which is where, I think we have such a core loyal fan base of people that come back anytime we relaunch something. I'm seeing the same names coming through, ordering those first couple of days if we're pre-launching something. So it's really amazing that I'm able to use all the sides of my brain in on this project versus being so one-sided or the other.
Well, yeah, all the sides of your brain. I think you have a few more sides than most people. And speaking about relaunching,
maybe
let's talk about the relaunching of the Poppy Row Style School. I guess formerly the Not So City Style School that we actually discussed a little bit 7 years ago. Talk about that, what can be expected and how it's different or not different or evolved from what you originally started it out to be.
Yeah. So, when we originally talked 7 years ago about the Not So Skinny Style School, it was a very comprehensive program that I think sometimes was almost so much, giving people all my stylist secrets. And it really did create incredible transformations. And what really women were getting out of it was finding their signature style. And through that process, they also found themselves. Now we have a clothing brand. And so we're literally bringing the style school and that magic of finding your own style under the Poppy Row brand with our Poppy Row Style School. And so, I think especially the last 2 years as we've gone through COVID, so many more people are working from home. They're able to be location independent and flexible. So like I've been for probably 8 or 9 years now, can travel and, go to all the places. Obviously, if you feel safe and comfortable at this point, because we're still in a interesting phase of everything. But, what I think has come out of this, so many of us are confused about our style right now. Like, what do I wear to literally work from my kitchen table? I don't know what to do. And so we've lost our style. So really what we're doing with the Poppy Row Style School is helping, women come home to themselves again and finding their styles and who they are. And like we do in Poppy Row, merging both style and comfort, we will help you feel comfortable in your style no matter where you work or are working from, and really be able to go out into the world as your authentic self, whether it's on Zoom or you're going and speaking at a conference or something. So I'm really excited to reintroduce this and have it really be focused on finding your signature style, how you can use brands like Poppy Row to create your own signature capsule of pieces. So you have a curated closet. And so it's also easy. I always call it shopping your closet when you go and pick out your outfits every day. So you can really go and into your closet, shop it each day, not have to overthink it. And also not feel like you have to just roll out of bed in maybe your Reprise activewear, which is awesome. But, being a little more up-leveled and put together than so many of us have unfortunately become accustomed to the last 2 years, but not losing that comfort at the same time. So that's kind of what we're merging, and what the next evolution is just really also, maintaining your style without losing the comfort, which is clearly a part of the DNA I built for Poppy Row as well. So.
Well, it is certainly, you've been such a entrenched, part of that brand, and we've talked about there's so much more to it than just the fashion. And I think your fans that keep coming back, and they understand that, and they understand the passion and the anguish and all the things that really went into the creation of this brand. And I can't wait, and hopefully we can not wait another 7 years to see the follow-up, because it's just a fascinating journey to watch.
Yes. Well, it's been definitely a journey to be on for sure, and be in the midst of all of it. And it's been so nice to really reflect on the last 7 years, because truly, so much can happen in a year or 2 years, but 7 years has really been quite the handful of transitions and changes and learning. And so, it's so great to also just reflect on how much the industry has changed in this time, and to know that I've even been a small part of that actually feels really fulfilling.
Well, it is, and it's definitely a reason I consider you an influencer, especially that we can, look back and work backwards and just see how much has changed over the years. And again, I have to commend you for your commitment to doing what you do. So I have to ask, how can people find out more about Poppy Row, and also to keep tabs on the relaunching of the school?
Yeah. The easiest way is to go to poppyrow.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Poppy Row Style. But everything is linked out from poppyrow.com. So if you sign up for our newsletter, you get 15% off your first purchase, and you'll also be able to be up to date when we relaunch Poppy Row Style School later this year.
Well, Crystal, I have to thank you for coming on. It's just a joy to talk with you. You have such a passion and infectious enthusiasm for what you do, and it's certainly the traits of some true innovators, and just keep that brilliant mind a turning. And
I
again,
sure will.
I look forward to following up for sure. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. And again, congratulations on being named those top styles for 2022 from Self Magazine.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, there you have it. Definitely check out Crystal and Poppy Row to poppyrow.com. We'll have the links to that along with the social media links right there on the show post. And until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.